Hello, everybody, and congratulations on your admission to the MEng program. We're so happy to see you with us this morning. We know that many of you are calling in from all over the world, so thank you for taking the time to join us, whether it's really early for you or really late. As usual, we have a very diverse group with us today. We have people registered from Ethiopia, South Korea, Singapore, Canada, India, France, Portugal, China, and across the United States. And as you can see in the chat, as people are introducing themselves, some people are coming straight from undergrad. Some people have work experience. So there really is a lot of diversity of folks that are admitted to the MEng program. And the career team and our student panelists today, we are hoping to give you an overview of what we offer to everybody that is joining the MEng program. We hope to answer all your career-related questions. We know you have a big decision to make, and we hope to make that decision a little bit easier for you. Before we get into the overview, we are going to do some brief introductions of ourselves. The career development team consists of myself, Dione Rivera, and Alicia Mandac. We're all here today. And we work to bring you the most up-to-date career resources. We're trained in innovative coaching techniques, and I have been working with the Fung Institute for over 10 years. I am passionate about career education and helping people leverage their strengths to find a job that they love. I also love working with engineers and the tech community, especially in the Bay Area. There's so much innovation happening. And I think now more than ever, we need engineering leaders. So I'm happy to be a part of that. I'm going to pass it over to Dione to introduce herself.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you all for being here. Congratulations. Yeah, I work with Julie and Alicia with the career team here at the Fung Institute for the MEng program. And I, when Julie mentioned 10 years, I didn't realize how long I've also been here. So excited to see new faces, new innovations, new ideas coming from you all, and excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name's Alicia. I am a career coach here on the team and also been here for quite a bit. I'm in my fifth year with the team and really love working with Master of Engineering students. Always find the work that Master of Engineering students do really inspiring. And probably my favorite thing to do in this role is to help you all build your confidence for those interviews and help you all land those jobs that you're working so hard for. So super excited to have you all here, and thanks for spending the time with us this morning.
Okay, so over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you a preview of the customized MEng career services and the network that we offer. And just like our students are always innovative and trying new things, we do that as well. So the career team is constantly innovating, looking for new resources and new ways to help students find success. We are going to outline three distinct areas and areas of focus that the career team's programming revolves around. So we focus on professional skill development, career exploration, and our partnership network and community. We expect students to utilize all of these areas and sharpen their professional skills, find mentorship opportunities, and additional ways to explore in their career and find leadership opportunities outside of the classroom. So it's really a lot of things that we offer where we're hoping students can expand outside the classroom, and as they're finding their next step can add to being a well-rounded engineer. We hope to answer all of your questions as you think of them. Please enter them in the chat. We do have a lot of time reserved with a student and alumni panel. So an opportunity not to just hear from us, but we have alumni and students here today, and they're a great source to answer all of your questions. So as you think of questions, please enter them into the chat. So I do want to say congratulations, you're here. And this is, the first step in your career exploration. As you think about the MEng program, every opportunity is an opportunity to connect and think about how you're growing as a professional. And that includes connecting with people today and connecting with us. If you join the program, we start working with students over the summer. So you start hearing from us right away with targeted webinars that will start you thinking about your career goals and your professional skill development. We want students to be ready for when the semester starts in August. Um, so we have a series of 8 webinars over the summer that we hope lay that foundation. So you can start the school year ready to go and having thought about your career goals. In addition to the career team, the Berkeley campus is also full of resources. So that includes a centralized career center that you would have access to, lots of professional student organizations, and other institutes across campus, including a really robust startup ecosystem. So the career team's goal is to meet you wherever you are. So the goals are, can span from finding your first job to wanting to start your own company to continuing your education. We meet you wherever you are at to help you develop the career skills to make you successful not only out of the program, but through your entire career. So how do we do that? So I'm going to walk through some of the things that we do to help prepare you and prepare students while they're in the MEng program. And like most things in the MEng program, you get out as much as you put into it. You can customize it and take advantage of whatever you have the time to do. But it really comes down to taking the initiative and thinking about your career throughout the program. We use a career coaching model to help you move forward in your career goals and in the job search process. Um, it involves a lot of active communication and engagement on your part, but we are here for students every step of the way through the entire job search cycle. So after working with us and throughout the program, we expect students to have really sharp professional skills. So know how to write a resume, a targeted resume, not only for next year, but throughout your entire career, to be able to put those professional documents together. Develop strong networking skills, being able to be resourceful and savvy during a job search, to understand compensation packages and your market value and negotiate those salaries, and understanding the job market and recruiting cycles. So all very important skills. We do that through one-on-one coaching. So the career team is available to meet with students one-on-one as often as you need and at whatever point you need. We host workshops. So again, they start over the summer and then they continue throughout the year. And there's also classroom integration, whether that's classroom assignments or through the capstone experience. So other opportunities to integrate your experience with your career goals. We also strive to create a really inclusive and supportive atmosphere where you work with your peers and you work with the alumni network to help achieve your goals. Your peers and your alumni, those are some of your biggest resources. So we try and make sure that you have opportunities to build that network and get connected to those people. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Alicia, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that student experience and exploring.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. And this, we'll have a couple slides here that's going to demonstrate a few of our ways that our students have engaged in the program. So you'll see Zach here, who is an alumni from a few years ago now. And this is a great example of really kind of a full sort of almost like 360 use of our services and also the ways in which the career development was integrated in the classroom as well. So you can see from the quote that Zach was asked about their dream job and where they would want to work and kind of had targeted Apple and was doing some applying and not really getting a lot of success and reached out to the career team and in working with us to not only kind of hone in on some of the more the kind of professional skill sets in terms of building that resume and cover letter, but also really kind of talking about helping them refine what his goal is and really how to target that. And you'll see that through the work with the team and the support that he got through the program was able to network and land that job at Apple. And if you look up Zach online on LinkedIn, you'll see that he's still at Apple 3 years, going there for 3 years strong. So just a great example of the way that one of our alumni really engaged with the services and was able to tap into a career path that was fitting for their dreams. And then the next slide here has some more stories about how our alumni have engaged in some of our workshops. So you'll see Denise talking about our career workshops as a way to kind of help prepare for the job search. And then, these workshops are really to help you explore your career interests, gain support, build confidence, and hone your skills. And that's something that Jessica found is a part of engaging with the career team as well. So we'll be hearing from more students, but student and alumni in a little bit, but those are just a couple examples of the ways that our students have engaged with our services and some of the outcomes that they experienced. So we'll go to the next slide about our career exploration. So Julie was talking about how what we focus on is professional skill development, and then another focus is the career exploration. And so this slide shows you several of the different ways that we help you engage in that process because it really is meant to be a time for you to explore and figure out what are your goals. And maybe you're even refining your goals or redefining your goals. So many times we hear from MEng students who go through this program with an idea of one thing that they are interested in and come out afterwards realizing that they have a completely different interest. And that's our hope, is that you engage in that process. So like Julie talked about, we'll go back. Like Julie talked about, we have our summer webinar series. So you'll hear from us right at the beginning of summer. So just honestly, in a few 6 weeks maybe, you'll be hearing from us to start the summer webinar series, which will focus on some of the professional skill development that Julie was talking about. But we also focus on some industry topics and bring alumni into the programming as well. And that programming continues into your boot camp and all the way through the 2 semesters where we have career labs that focus on things like behavioral interviews, salary negotiation, evaluating job offers. We have a dedicated platform called My Berkeley FI Connect, which is where it's kind of like our homegrown version of LinkedIn, where you can connect with all of the MEng alumni and then even the greater Berkeley alumni campus as well. And we host several of our programs on that platform, so you'll get access to that. One of the programs on there is Affinity Group Program, which we'll talk about in a second, and also our industry mentorship program, which Dione will talk about, but 2 really great programs to help you with that greater career exploration. And then you'll find that Berkeley is really connected to the startup ecosystem. So one of the big partners that we have is Skydeck, which is a kind of a startup accelerator, and we have a great collaboration with them. So for those of you who are interested in the startup world, it's another big area that you can explore as being a part of this program. So like I talked about, affinity groups is one of the ways that one of the programs that we have that is a career-focused program that helps bring together smaller groups of students within the MEng program that's centered around commonalities of professional interests. So this year we had 12 different affinity groups. You'll see some of the titles here of those groups. We have entrepreneurship, consulting, sustainable energy. There was even a new group created this year on semiconductors. And so these are current MEng students who volunteer their time to lead these groups. And really the purpose is to create community within the MEng program where you can learn from each other, tap into each other's networks, and build some experiences together. So our affinity groups did a lot of site visits this year. So this picture that we have here is the robotics group, and they went to Multiply Labs, which is a company in San Francisco that's building robotics for the life sciences and medical industry. So they were able to go there on site and see some of that work happening in person. So a little bit more about the affinity group. So you can connect with them if you go to that new admit webpage. You can look up all the current affinity group leaders and reach out to them. And then for those of you who are able to come tomorrow to our in-person visit day, we will be having some of our affinity group leaders there at the reception. So we hope that for those of you who are able to make it, you can come and meet our affinity group leaders. And then for those of you who are interested in becoming leaders, the recruitment will happen in the summer. So just keep your eye out for that. And then just a couple more of these pictures here. So let's see, the one on the left is our sustainable energy group that went to in phase, which focuses on solar and battery and EV chargers. And then the one on the right is the transportation group, and they went to Navier, which is a Bay Area company, and they do marine vessels. And so they're again able to kind of take people in person and see all that stuff happening on site. So we have an affinity group leader on our panel as well today. So more about that to come. And until then, I'll turn it over to Dione.
Yes, thank you, Alicia and Julie. So both of them spoke about um, learning, exploring, and I would like to share with you our third area of focus, which is connecting. So, as an MEng student, you'll join a very vibrant and engaged alumni and industry partner community, and they are always um, invested in helping you succeed. Actually, in our alumni panel, you'll hear how meaningful conversations and connecting with people and networking have helped them clarify their goals, open opportunities that they never expected. You could see here different ways and events and activities that we use to help connect students to alumni and to industry partners. You could definitely submit your updated resume, participate and engage in alumni networking, employer events, design challenges, and the next one that I would like to specifically highlight and speak about that really brings this about is our mentorship program. So, our mentorship program is one of the best ways to ease into networking and start building your professional community. So, the Industry Mentorship Initiative is the first program that we have in the fall. And then the next one is the Alumni in Residence when we have them in spring. You might be surprised how eager our alumni are here to support you, and they're generally excited to help you clarify your goals, navigate your coursework, and share real world insights that can be broadened to help broaden your perspectives in the opportunities ahead. I do love this quote about a current student who participated in the program and saying that mentorship has helped him build connections and understand his career options. So that's one of the ways that you could really help and become, technical leaders and innovators by connecting with people, having those meaningful conversations. So both mentorship opportunities run once a year, giving you the chance to form meaningful and lasting relationships that can continue beyond graduation. These connections are often ongoing, and they are a source of guidance, encouragement, and support. So as you move forward to your career. Speaking of alumni, we would like to share with you a couple of numbers and information about where do they go after they graduate. So we normally have this survey that we send to students called the Career Destination Survey. And it helps us summarize all the postgraduate activities that you see here. So for the class 2025, here's a bird's eye view of their diverse career paths as founders, technical leaders in software, data, product management. And there is a strong presence of alumni working in big tech companies, as you see here, Google, Meta, Apple, Tesla. And they also, some of them go into top universities and institutions for their PhDs and MBA coursework. Um, and like an extension of another master program. So if you want to take a deeper dive in our survey, we'll be able to share with you the most updated one on our website. We'll post the link here on the chat. And for some more details and numbers, Julie will share with you the high level information on where our graduates go to after graduation.
Thank you, Dione. This data is a sneak peek from our 2025 graduates. So this is not on our website yet. But we wanted to, as we're aggregating it, we wanted to share with you the most recent information that we do have. This data represents student responses from 344 students. So last year we had a response rate around 73% of the graduating class. So that's what this data represents. And from that data, 90% of MEng students indicated that they stayed and worked in the United States. 12 of them indicated that they were founders straight out of the program. So you heard us talking about the startup ecosystem at Berkeley. That is a very real thing, and there's lots of resources, and people get very inspired while they're here and meet co-founders and continue to work on their passion projects out of the program and start companies. And people do continue their education. So last year we had 9 people say they were continuing their education. This could be PhDs, this could be an MBA. We've had students go on to law school even. So completing your MEng, it can be a stepping stone to continuing your education if that's what you so desire. Um, we have found that the economic landscape over the last few years, continues to shift. There's a lot of news that we all are reading around those shifts. But what we have found, and our data is telling us that MEng students are very successful out of the program. And we think that's because the fundamentals around job search are the same. So utilizing our resources, students are very successful. But even more so, recruiters are telling us that their skills are marketable, and the need for the soft skills are even more important than ever. And the MEng program does provide that. So not only with the leadership and curriculum and the communication curriculum, but our career development program gives students the opportunity to develop strong written and verbal communication skills and to practice interviewing, and develop that network to connect you to opportunities. So our data also told us in 2025, 50% of these graduates stayed and worked in California. And this percentage might actually be a little higher because there are some hybrid roles or fully remote roles that aren't accounted for here. But a lot of people come to California, come to the Bay Area, they want to stay here. There's a lot of opportunity. Some of the biggest employers include big tech, biotech and life sciences, automotive, um, and energy industries. With so many people staying in California, I think that's one reason why our programming is so robust because people are in the same time zone. They're still in the area. They love to get involved with new students and attend our events and sit on our panels. As you can see today, the alumni we have on our panel. Um, and but that doesn't mean everybody stays in California. People do go to other major cities that have significant industry hubs in them, like Boston and Austin, Texas. And some students return to their home countries. We have a lot of students that indicated that they return to China to work for companies such as Alibaba or ByteDance. Some of our top California employers include Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla. A newer rising employer has been TSMC, and they have a huge office and facility in Arizona. So that's been a newer partner in the last couple of years. Prospective students are always interested in what starting salaries for MEng students. And I will say that a typical salary can range for Berkeley engineering and varies a lot about job type, industry, the company location, if you're in the Bay Area, if you're not in the Bay Area, and your prior work experience. And like I said, the market is always changing. So, what our job is and the resources that we provide is to help you understand your market value, to help you put together build a conversation with that employer if there is a salary that needs to be negotiated, and to really understand that. And again, the takeaway message is really students need to be proactive and take that initiative with their career, and in the end are successful with not only landing that job, but being able to negotiate a compensation package that is good for them and makes sense. So our data from last year, the average salary in California was $124,000, and the average signing bonus in California was $16,000. And like Dione said, you can dig into this data a little bit more on our website, and that link can be found in the chat. So as I wrap up my talk, I hope you can start envisioning yourself using these three distinct areas that we focus on in the career development program, whether that's developing professional skills, exploring your career, connecting to mentors, connecting with our partnership and alumni community. These logos represent some of our industry partners, places where we've gone to do site visits, or people that have sponsored capstone projects or design challenges, both on campus and off campus. The Bay Area is a really busy area. There's lots of opportunity happening here. Employers are coming to campus. Students are going to visit them at their headquarters. But I just wanted to point out some of these opportunities, and hope that we answered a lot of your questions. Thank you for listening today, and we hope that we get to work with you next year and help you take the next step in your career. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Alicia and our panel, and you get to hear from them and their experiences.
Great. Thank you, Julie. All right. So as we get our panelists on the spotlight here, just a reminder that you can add your questions into the chat, and we will get to them after we do a little discussion with our panelists. So I'm going to introduce each of our panelists. You'll see them pop up on the video, and then we'll get to some of the questions that we have prepared for them, and questions that you all submitted as well. Okay. So our first panelist here, we have Carson. So Carson is a 2024 MEng graduate in bioengineering, and his concentration was in synthetic biology. So Carson is currently working as a process engineer at Novonesis. I don't know if I said that right. The world's largest industrial biomanufacturing company, and he helps streamline the manufacturing of enzymes that support consumer products and make industrial and agricultural processes more sustainable and efficient. So prior to his current role, Carson worked in strategy and public affairs, and he also served as a policy analysis with the National Security Commissions on emerging biotechnology in DC. So spent a little time in DC after MEng. Our next panelist is Jia Yang, who should be on up there, Jia Yang, and one of our alumni also. So Jia Yang is the founder of Nestify, a cross-platform family assistant app helping busy parents simplify everyday family logistics. So after working at Google, Jia Yang started Nestify to solve the chaos they kept seeing in real families, especially around scheduling, coordination, and execution. They've launched on iOS and Android, onboarded hundreds of early users, and are actively refining the product through hands-on user research. So thanks for being here, Jia Yang. And then we have Sahil. So Sahil is one of our current MEng students, currently in mechanical engineering, focus on aerospace. And in his time at Berkeley, he's worked with pioneering space startups, rush out on the field during the big game. I'm sure that was quite fun. And hike just about every file trail in the hills above campus, which we have quite a bit of. When he's not deeply engaged in classes, Sahil spends his time with New Space at Berkeley, Rally Committee, and on various side quests around the Bay. And after graduation, which is coming up soon, he hopes to work in space exploration or the commercialization field. And Zahil is actually also one of our affinity group leaders, so he'll talk about that in a bit. And then we have Kathy. So Kathy is one of our alumni. She joined the MEng program in EECS in 2023, graduated in 2024, and was focusing on computer vision and visual graphics. And during her time in the program, she worked on a research-focused capstone project, which actually became a pivotal experience in building her skills and helping her secure a role as a computer vision engineer at NVIDIA. She's also super active in the community. She's involved in the affinity group community. She was an affinity group leader herself with the AI affinity group, and then was a mentor for the robotics affinity group, alumni mentor in 2024. So happy to have all of our panelists here. So we have each of them have prepared a little bit of a response for some questions, and then we're going to open it up to you all to ask your questions as well. So keep them coming in the chat. So we'll start with our discussion. So Jia Yang, I'm going to start with you. So thanks again for being here. So as we mentioned in your bio, you co-founded an app and you've been in the startup world. So can you just talk a little bit about how your MEng experience prepares you for the work of a co-founder?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. And at first, I just want to say to this audience, congratulations getting accepted to this program. This is definitely very well celebrating. Welcome. Looking forward to see you. Not see you, but yeah, congrats to be a potential fellow Cal Bear. So to answer the questions, I guess a little bit background about myself. I was like graduated 4 years ago, and I didn't like straight up to the program join a startup. I first worked at big tech like Quora, Google, YouTube, and then I joined. So looking back, I think it's really useful. And I think about in 3 layers. So first layer is the knowledge layer. I remember MEng definitely gave me a very structured exposure to things like leadership, entrepreneurship. I remember taking the bootcamp courses. Those are the things that are really important that most engineers, they don't really like get to learn. And a lot of capstone opportunities was there, and a lot of them are from startups. It really helps a lot to build in the business mindset, besides just technical execution. And the second layer is the platform. I think is even more important because if we just given the knowledge without a playground to practice them, it's not gonna be very well converted to skills. And Berkeley is probably one of the best places to try new things. I remember when I first joined, I discovered there are so many clubs, and I joined this like entrepreneurship fraternity, when a student-led business organization with there are a lot of like young talent. They build startups with real tractions, and their founders, I remember, give me a shock. Like I think the founder, they did a delivery business, and it's called Caviar. Later on, they sold it to Block, which is now the Square, I think, for like hundreds of millions of dollars. So being in Berkeley, it's hard to not get a touch of the vibe of entrepreneurship. Being close proximate to San Francisco, and Berkeley is definitely one of the densest entrepreneur hub, I think. So you really get to like exposed to this like environment on daily basis. So you're not just learning, you're also very easy to find your peers and doing things together. And that's actually the third layer I want to talk about, which is I think the most important one is the people. Berkeley is basically the concentration of future builders, especially in the AI area right now. So the people you meet will shape your next 5 to 10 years. Personally speaking, when I joined my first job at Quora as a data scientist, it was year 2023. I don't know if you remember seeing the news. There was like tech layoff. I was impacted there. I was laid off. And it was my Berkeley peers who helped me practice interviews, sourcing opportunities. It was my mentor, helped me collect people. Ultimately, I was lucky at landing my next role at Google in YouTube. And later on, when I started my company, I met my co-founders in Berkeley as well. And a lot of mentors actually was from my bootcamp and capstone projects through this network. So if I have to summarize, I think MEng didn't just teach me how to build stuff, technical skills. It also put me in the environment and getting to build things, getting my hands dirty, and also meeting the great people who will, you'll be enjoying the journey with for the next couple of years. Yeah, so that's my sharing.
Yeah. Wonderful. So yeah, the learning that you were exposed to in this program, you were learning in such a rich environment. So close to all the people who are doing the startup stuff and the innovation and building your network within the community. So yeah, you were learning and doing at the same time in this program. All right, so next question is for Sahil. So like we talked about, the Affinity Group program is one of our signature career development opportunities for students in the program. So Sahil, can you talk about your experience as an Affinity Group leader right now? You're one of the transportation Affinity Group leaders. You were actually one of those pictures that we had on the slide. What's this experience been like for you as a Affinity Group leader, and how do you see it contributing to your own professional growth?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alicia. And start off to everyone here, congratulations and welcome. The Berkeley community is nothing short of incredible. And as I think you're going to be hearing from our panelists today, and probably what you've heard about Berkeley's preceding reputation, you'll come to find out that Berkeley is truly a very, very unique place. And one of the reasons why I think so is because of the Affinity Group program. So, as Alicia mentioned, I am a leader for the Transportation Affinity Group. And it's really, really easy to wonder what really does Affinity Group even do? To some people it may sound like a club, to some people it may sound like another networking opportunity, but I do want to say it is all of that and way more. So to begin with, the affinity group is, as mentioned in the name, it is a community of like-minded individuals that come together to pursue a common interest, common curiosity, with the ultimate intent of building a connection with each other and also building a connection with the industry they want to go into. Now, our affinity group members come from all over the place. International students, domestic students, people who've had 10 years of work experience, and people who are fresh out of undergrad. And it is really incredible for everyone to come together and share perspectives. Now, we oftentimes, depending on how an affinity group chooses to do it, we can host regular meetings or we choose to skip the regular meetings and just go out and do fun things. Personally, as a member of transportation, we have decided to go for the latter because we found that not only are visits super fun to do and we want to do as many as possible, but people really, really get to have good conversations during said visits. Now, as Alicia also mentioned, we've done some great visits in the past and we have some great ones coming up in the future. For example, Navier, which is an electric boat manufacturer based right here in the Bay Area. We actually had one of our classmates connect with that company during the visit. And lo and behold, they are extending him an offer or soon to be. And it's incredible stuff like that that inspires the affinity group leaders and everyone else in the affinity group to keep going and keep connecting and keep wondering. Now, some other great events that we've also had are the Tesla visit, which is an annual tradition at this point. I think everyone on this call has heard about the annual Tesla Fremont factory visit. It's a great time. We can take a lot of people down to the Tesla factory to see the ins and outs of it. We've had people from Tesla come and visit us to give us technical interview preparation, which if you've had any idea, if you've ever sat through a technical interview or you yourself have been technically interviewed, you know that it's kind of a gritty and a pretty difficult situation to be in. And we got an insider scoop on a senior manager who actually conducts these interviews. And he told us how it was and what we should prepare for. And finally, I think as I alluded to before, the community is the most rewarding part. Now, as an affinity group leader myself, and as a MEng student myself, I am targeting aerospace and I'm targeting, space exploration and commercialization. So I've actually been able to reach out to a lot of local startups and companies. Think NASA Ames, think Astra, think Whisk. And I've been able to, under the flag of the affinity groups and the Berkeley name, I've been able to reach out, basically cold email or call people and set up time, set up connection, set up meetings, and ultimately set up events that not only help myself, but help all of my fellow Mengers. Because that's what Berkeley is about. It's not just about the individual, it's not just about getting yourself on top, but it's about bringing your classmates, bringing your cohort with you. Because we all succeed when we are all succeeding together. And yeah, that's why I love being an affinity group leader. And it's also just super fun. You get to meet amazing people from all over the place. And I think Kathy would also agree with me that it's just a great time.
Thanks so much, Sahil. You really maximized your time as an affinity group leader, and I can't wait to hear what those extra little site visits that you all are planning are for. All right, so next on to Kathy, who has the tie of affinity group as well. And Kathy, you've been somebody that's actually stayed very active within the community, both as an alumni mentor for our affinity groups, and you actually helped host some site visits to NVIDIA. I've seen you in those pictures. So what for you, when you think about kind of the MEng network that you have kind of tapped into and stayed active in, how has that impacted your career path?
Yeah, so I think to start with, giving everyone an idea of how I tapped into my career path from MH program, I'll start with how MH like helps me through this, and I'll go into the network part. So first, I think MH is a really great program if you want to land a job in the industry that you're looking for in, and I think MH helped me in two key ways. The first is that MH gives me the relevant technical experience. And second is that MEng gives me the very easy and direct access to a lot of good industry opportunities. And on top of these, we have all the connections from our alumni, from the mentors, and all the support from the teams around that has joined today. So I think in general, like MEng is really great. So I'll start from my personal experience. And so to give you an example, so MEng first gave me the relevant technical experience for my resume to suit out in front of all the other candidates for my current job in NVIDIA, as I took lots of computer vision courses. And also, I think we've also already mentioned the capstone project, where we have the opportunity to choose to go with a tech industry partner or some research lab in Berkeley. So for me, I chose the latter. I worked with Professor Alan Yang on object detections and AR/VR when I was here. And this research experience actually helped me land in some, we went to some competitions, we got papers. And when the recruiters saw my resume, they found this being a really close fit to what my current product team is working on. So this is where my experience has been seen and has been like basically like highlighted to my recruiters. And just having this experience isn't enough. I think one another really good thing that Berkeley and MH gives us is the direct access to industry opportunities, like the career fairs we've already mentioned, and also in-person recruiting. I think another thing is a lot of the workshops and the panels that are all around the campus. I actually was able to join one of the panels, not knowing that it's for recruiting. And then at the end of that panel, there's a little link that allows me to submit my resume. So I submitted my resume there, and that's where my resume got seen by the NVIDIA recruiter. And I got the interview opportunities. Also, a lot of my interview opportunities come from this. And I was really grateful for Berkeley and MH actually providing us with this opportunity to be seen by good companies and to be connected with good companies. So after I landed in my current job, I was like, oh, I got a lot of help from the Berkeley program. Got a lot of help from the Affinity alumni mentors. So I joined as an Affinity alumni mentor as well. I want to help everyone that went through the same struggle as me. I want to provide everyone with the right resource. So that's why we had this like NVIDIA robotics lab visit. That was a really, really fun time. And then I also actively joined alumni dinner, alumni brunch. become a affinity mentor alumni because I want to, give back to the community. And for me, I think for myself, this is also a great opportunity for me to connect with other alumni, some of them happen to be my coworkers, some of them happen to be like really good connections that I will continue to be friend with, I think throughout my career. And I think this is like basically to me, MN doesn't really stop at the time that I graduated, but it continues to span over many years. And the relationships, friendships, all the connections I build in MN just continues, and even until now. So I'm really happy, really grateful.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have you a part of the community and such a great statement in terms of the program itself might be a year, but it really does span much longer afterwards in terms of the network and how deep the network community is of the alumni. All right, so we will go to one more alumni here, Carson. So your career path has spanned lots of different areas. So public policy, public affairs, and now you're in a more technical process engineering role. So what skills and experiences from the MEng program helped you to navigate all these different industries?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Alicia. So cool to be with, so many, successful alumni and a current student at this panel, and congratulations to everybody. I think for me, what, allowed me to, seek out different experiences, different opportunities, things that have been not technical and technical, since graduating hasn't even been that long. It's just the fact that with the MEng program, the way in which you're learning about technical, engineering work, the context is so much bigger than I think a lot of other programs. And that's, by design in the MEng program. You have leadership courses, you have communication coursework. You have, this broad network in Berkeley that, has a connection from, the startup ecosystem to established companies. And, that perspective just allows you to pick up on, trends, employers that are, succeeding or, different types of, industry dynamics that allows you to keep your perspective broad. It allowed me to, even pay attention to what was going on in Washington, D.C. with some of the, greatest technologies that were being invented in biotech, and what was, preventing that was actually, public policy. So that's one thing. The context with the MEng is huge, and it's interdisciplinary by design. Also, the multidisciplinary, network of students that you're with in the MEng program. I think one of the coolest things about this program that I was able to tap into was the fact that I took coursework, with people in, different engineering disciplines than I was in. I was in BioE, but a group like what is present on this panel today, that could be, the group in which I was taking a communication class with, or a capstone project that exposed me to different, types of engineering, different types of thinking, and allowed me to, pursue a technical position now that's actually a little bit, harder mechanical and chemical technical than, the lab work that I was doing in bioengineering. So, it's very broad in that sense, and the people, make that possible. And then finally, what's available to you at Berkeley is every elective possible in the MEng program. I think that that's one of the coolest things about this program is that there's no set curriculum. You get to pick and choose from, some of the best coursework and some of the best professors. And that allowed me to, kind of expose myself to, a different area of engineering that, I hadn't even been exposed to. And, that's kind of what brought me into working in manufacturing today. And, if you're looking at a bunch of electives and a bunch of different possibilities in the Berkeley coursework and what's available in MEng, there's, with Berkeley's, reputation, there's a good chance it's some of the best research, some of the best coursework that's being done, in the US. So it's really awesome. And I think that breadth of experiences, breadth of coursework, breadth of exposure to different types of engineering has allowed me to, continue to sing that tune in my early career.
And sometimes I hear from students that that breadth of coursework sometimes is the biggest challenge of like trying to make a decision because there's so many things that are of interest. Well, thank you all so much for sharing a little bit of your background and your experiences. So we are going to open up the panel to some questions that are coming into us in the chat. So thank you all so much for sending your questions. And maybe Dione, do you want to read out what questions have we got coming in, and what can we ask our panelists here?
Hello, yes. So there are a lot of great questions. And there's one here. Could you elaborate on your background before the MNG program, specifically relative to, I guess, your engineering experience? I'm curious if there is a gap in employability, employment prospects,
So years of
um,
experience.
yeah, years of experience and time to employment between new grads and professionals going to MNG program. So I think, speaking to the alumni, your background in being able to find opportunities, did you have a gap in your employability and things like that? Um, Either Kathy, Carson, or Jiayang could share their experience.
Yeah. So anyone with the years of experience
Um,
prior. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead,
I think
Kathy.
I'll start first. I came straight from undergrad, didn't work as full-time at all before that, but I do have 3 internships prior to that and some research lab experience, and most of them are in the field of computer vision. So these are all relevant experiences, and plus the research that I got from Berkeley, which is an entire year of research project. These are all the things that NVIDIA was looking at when I submitted my resume.
Carson or GA?
I'll just quickly hop in and say, yeah, I also came from undergrad, similar to Kathy. I had, research experience. It was kind of laboratory experience as a bioengineering student, and that also, fit really well with the capstone that I did. That was also kind of lab focused and was actually a little bit more research heavy than being, industry heavy. Was with a professor on campus, and it worked out really well for what I wanted to gain out of the capstone experience. But came straight from undergrad, and was really supported in that journey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can quickly give my perspective. So I was admitted actually to the prior term where basically to the year of COVID. So I didn't join the uh, program straight out of the undergrad. I took a gap year and I did some startup founding engineering role. And then during the summer, I also had an internship and then straight went to this program. Um, yeah, and I didn't have any like research experience, any like legit any like prestige internship experience, I guess. So all of that happened. All the job search, first big tech role was happening in the during the program.
Yeah. And Saha, did you come from straight from undergrad?
I did come straight from undergrad.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think also one of the things as a career coach, I work with students a lot on is how to redefine even just your definition of experience, because sometimes when we think about it just in terms of like an internship or a full-time role, that limits what really recruiters look for when they're thinking about experience. It's really all about the skills that you've gained and the types of ways that those skills have made impacts and how you can demonstrate that. So that's a lot of stuff that we work with students is how to kind of redefine how they're even viewing experience and trusting that like if you got admitted to the MEng program, you already have experience that you can capitalize on. So thank you for the question. All right, we got time for probably a few more. We won't get to all of our questions, so I do recommend that you connect with each of our panelists on LinkedIn so you can follow up with them. This is already a step in building your networks. Dione, what's the next question that we got?
Yes, a popular question that I've seen written in different ways is about how are you able to um, search for opportunities or do your job search given a 1 year intensive program? Definitely wanting to learn from your experience, Sahil, currently, and of course from our alumni. But we can start off with Sahil.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. So that's a great question, and that alludes to one of the core themes of the MEng program, balance. Now, it's very exceedingly difficult to fit the entire breadth of an entire graduate program into 1 year, which is what the MEng program is doing, let alone look for a job, look for social activities to do on campus, look for connections. And one of the things that you have to be able to pilot and navigate are the overwhelming barrage of opportunities and events and any number of other things that are happening at any given time and pick and choose. I think one of the big things I was able to do or learn how to do this year was how to say no to some things. There are so many cool things happening at all times, and sometimes you have to say, I would love to join, but I can't. So to go along to the question, doing a job search is still very intensive. And I would say right now, we just started April. I am in high job application season. Every aerospace company on the face of the earth has seen my name by now. But what's important to realize is that especially depending on what industry you go into, it's quality over quantity. And you have to take time, and I'd say it starts from the beginning. You have to take time to set up meaningful connections with people within these companies or with our lovely career team, and they'll be the ones to help you get to where you want to go in terms of jobs and stuff. But honestly, from my classmates right now, I've been hearing a swath of things going from, hey, I've actually been in touch with this Masters of Engineering alumni since September, and they're actually my mentor, and she's basically ushering me into a job like right after graduation. And the other end of that spectrum is, oh my God, I haven't even started applying. I am full panic mode. I would encourage all of you to be somewhere in the middle. Obviously, not everyone can get a great, lucky mentor, and you do not wait until the last moment. So kind of we've kind of had to disperse it throughout the year. There are so many great career fairs that are happening in the fall and now in the spring. We have a lot of affinity group events that put you face to face with these employers, especially ones that you may want to look into more. Going back to what I said about Navier and my one classmate who was actually able to leverage that time. But to wrap it all up, I would say finding balance. Whatever your horizon is, whether you've already been in the industry or you haven't, you have to find a pace that works for you. And for me, that's been really, really great. I mean, coming fresh out of undergrad, I've been able to, expand my horizons very quickly. But for people with more experience, maybe they're more focused on a very specialized area. And maybe they're interviewing at a level 3 or a level 4, maybe, as opposed to a level 2 like me. So it is about finding balance. And I'd invite you to connect with me and so we can talk more about it.
Yeah, thank you. That balance is a key skill, not only just for the MEng program, but honestly, through your career and life is trying to continue to figure that out. Anyone else want to add to that in terms of just the pace of the MEng program and how you navigated that and with the job search?
I would just quickly say that I wish I could have started really early for the job search because I know that a lot of people started in August and September when there's the first career fair that comes up. And in the summer, if you have the time to do some leak code if you're in EECS and do some prep work before the school starts because once the school starts, there are so many things and you want to do research, you want to do courses you wouldn't have time to prep for a lot of like the job prepping. So just front load everything.
Yeah, that's why we start our programming in the summer to help with all of that. All right. Carson, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, one thing about, everybody from around the world, whether in the MEng program or not, can apply to some of the jobs that you're going to see. I think what you don't have when you're not in the MEng program, or when you're in the MEng program, I'll rephrase, is that you have, Berkeley as this, rich community where there's events going on all the time. There's employers coming in and out the doors, whether through the MEng connections and affinity group connections or through just the university as a whole. Like that is just such a asset of this program and being in this community and being in the broader Bay Area. Serendipity is in the waiting. Whether you're looking for a job and actively submitting applications, that changes for depending on what time of the year you're in or what industry you're going into. But if you're consistently pursuing taking advantage of the rich community, you're honestly doing yourself a favor because that job search is happening passively because you never know what connection might come up, what conversation might strike, and that's really the best way to get your the best foot forward for the competitive environment that we're in and the limited jobs that are out there. So that's my thought, and it's the best place to be is the Bay Area and the Berkeley campus.
Yeah, thank you. Gia Yang, I saw you nodding. I don't know if you wanted to add because that kind of tapped into what you were talking about originally about sort of just the exposure that you got to lots of people in the startup world.
Right. Yeah. I also see a lot of questions about like international students. Firstly, I like to admit, like you're right. This is the 1 year program, and being international student, as I was, definitely brings like a little bit more challenge. But I wouldn't say that's a lot. It's a 1 year, and it's gonna be very active. It's gonna be very fruitful year. But as the other panelists said, it's really about like finding the balance and start early. And it's gonna be the best year because it's gonna be so fulfilling. You're gonna have a main. If your main goal is to find a job, that's gonna be kind of like a mainstream. I definitely do encourage to start early and start iterative experience, find new peers who's really trying to do the same battle with you and learn from each other. And also just like keep some room for serendipity, as Carson said, because it's not just like about finding jobs, it's also about finding the peers you're going to enjoy the journey with, finding the mentors, experience new stuff. We're all here to learn, and I think it's also important to leave some room for that. So yeah, that's my advice, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective as an international student as well. Really appreciate that. Dione, probably one time for one more question and then we'll close everything up.
Yes. So, guess a good question to ask to wrap everything up is, um, knowing what you know now, what would be your one big advice for our incoming and newly admitted MH students for the year 2026, 2027?
So maybe we'll go in reverse order from our intro part. So Carson, we'll start with you.
Sure. Gosh, I guess, knowing what I know now, what I think about is just how fast that MEng program was. It is fast. Sahil is probably right in the middle of it and probably is like, where did this year go? It's already been 2 years for me, and I, think longingly of my time there, and it just was so quick. That's just the nature of the beast because you're going to be, knee deep in technical coursework, meeting people, experiencing things, applying to jobs. I think the biggest thing is just to, continue to create opportunities for yourself and to kind of be proactive because, if you can let this program happen quickly and, it could be over before you know it. So just coming in with preparation, going to those early uh, going to the early, I guess, the sessions over the summer. I did all of those with the career team, just like having a perspective, working on your resume early, doing all these things that, kind of lay the foundation for you to really, prepare yourself to hit the ground running when you arrive at Berkeley, because you will thank yourself, whether it's because you're trying to get a job or you just want to soak in your time in lovely California. That's kind of my biggest advice.
Thanks, Carson. Kathy.
Yeah, I agree with what Carson just said. Start everything early, and another, I think I mentioned that already. So another thing I would tell myself is that maybe I don't need to be so panic about finding a job. I don't need to be so stressed about finding a job
Ah.
um, because after graduating, I do see some friends. They land in one job at first, and then later, they kept trying, and they get like better jobs, or they get to their dreams jobs eventually after like half a year to a year of span. And there are so many opportunities after you join the workforce too. So, if I could talk to myself, I will be like, oh, I don't need to be so stressed about landing one good opportunity right before I graduate. Like there are so many opportunities out there, and then the connections that we build in MH will just continue after we graduate. We still will be able to get help from our alumni. And as long as we keep trying, keep going forward towards like the dream job or wherever we want to be, eventually the dreams will come true. So, so if you're joining now and you're scared of this 1 year program, just don't be worried because there are so many more years in front of you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that perspective. Yes, the stress is there, but oh, we can stress in a little less stressed way. It'll all be okay. All right, Sahil.
I'll say enjoy the process. We have alluded to the theme of stress quite a bit, and when it comes to jobs, classes, whatever it may be. But quite honestly, and I'm sure my fellow panelists will agree with me, the Master's of Engineering program is so enjoyable for so many reasons other than just connections and careers and jobs. The people that you meet are incredible. And that's not even to talk about the Berkeley community that you join. I honestly, if I could go back and tell myself anything, I would just say, live the dream, enjoy the moment. I'm here at Berkeley. I've wanted to go to Berkeley for as long as I can remember. And being here, it is a dream come true in every single way that you can imagine. Not only am I able to work for a cutting edge space startup commercializing satellite communication, but then I can turn around and turn off my mind and go to a Cal basketball game or a Cal football game and just have the greatest time with my new friends. And I would say to even build on that, follow your heart. There are a lot of things here. There are so many things that you don't even know existed, quite honestly, that may, tickle some part of your brain or wake up some part of your brain that's been dormant for so long. Maybe you've had to turn off some part of your dream to pursue another part of your dream. And I've certainly had to do that with aerospace at my previous university. Didn't have a lot of opportunities, so I just kind of had to lock in on one thing. But coming here, I looked around and I realized that, wow, I can actually open up my mind a little bit more. I can start to go into public policy, which is something I've been very interested in. I'm taking a language class right now just for fun. There's so many things here. Just open up your heart and just enjoy the moment while you have it. It's just 1 year. That's the only constraint you have. So just make the most of it.
Yeah. Congrats on living the dream, Sahils. It sounds like we already got a connection too. You and Carson should talk about public policy. All right, Dione, you got the last one here.
Sure. First of all, I just want to say +1 to all the other panelists saying this. Stress in a less stressful way, and also be open. I do want to talk about the part of the stress maybe right now is maybe it may come from AI, as people often hear AI is eliminating jobs, there are layoffs, etc. Yes, it's eliminating job, but also it's adding a lot of job at least from what I can see. There are a lot of ton of startups getting their funding from this year or last year, and they are actively hiring, right? I definitely see this shift that I wish I knew, but even though I knew, I didn't have the condition because AI just taking off this really this 1 to 2 years. I wish I knew that proof of work is greater than resume, and it's not about the quantity. It's about whether the projects you did, the problem you solved, actually matched to the career job opportunity you want to pursue for. And right now, I think a very strong person or a person very capable of using AI equals to what a small team used to be able to do at least my age. So definitely make AI your unfair advantage, solve real problem that can connect to the whatever career opportunity you want to land, and build something real. That you are surrounded by probably most talented people right now, and find peers you want to work together and solve challenging problems, and use AI aggressively and talk to people. Networks matters even more now, I think. So that's the thing I wish I knew.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. And a great example of how our alumni can provide that real insight into what is happening currently in the industry and some perspective on what they are learning in real time and doing the work. So let's all give a sort of virtual thank you to all of our panelists here. I really do encourage you all to find them on LinkedIn. This is already a place for you to start your networks, and panelists, get ready for some questions in your LinkedIn. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we hope to see some of you all in our little session in person. So I'm going to bring Julie back on to close us off, and thank you again to all of our panelists.
That was a wonderful panel. Thank you so much, Alicia, and to all of our panelists. My big takeaway after listening to all of you is you could read about Berkeley, you could read about the rankings, but you really brought Berkeley to life, where get a feeling for the essence of what the campus is about, what the Bay Area is about, and the MEng program in the community. You really can't get a sense from that without talking to people. And that's the best way to highlight it, at least. So thank you all for sharing your experiences, your insights, your advice. We really appreciate it. So for next steps, there is in-person visit day tomorrow. So for those of you that can make it to campus, we have a great day planned for you and opportunities to connect with our affinity group leaders. For those of you that missed anything this week, from our student affairs presentation to our capstone presentation or the department sessions, everything was recorded and is posted on the new admin website. You can also go through the new admin website for lots of information related to the program. So any outstanding questions that you may have that will help guide your decision. And ultimately, you have to decide by April 15th. So don't forget that date, and let us know if you'll be joining us in the spring, and in the fall. Let us know the spring about the fall. And we hope to see many of you in the fall. We hope to work with you and see you on campus. Thank you for joining us this morning, and go Bears.
Thank you, everyone.
Go